What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, taking it back to the original Ice. Ice-T, Rhyme Pays. Great Debaters. Alright, Amir. So today on The Great Debaters, we're going to be talking about Ice-T, Rhyme Pays, and our favorite 3 tracks on this album. Everybody make sure to like, subscribe, share, do all that type of stuff. And support us by buying our shirts, if you don't mind, on BigHerc.com for unique access, and Rappin and Snackin's got his available worldwide as well. So, on to the topic at hand, Ice-T, Rhyme Pays. So, Amir, this is Ice-T's debut album. It came out in 1987, and at this point, Ice-T had fame from many things. He had been in Breaking 1 and 2. He had a string of singles that had been put out, and then of course his career exploded with the release of 6 in the Morning, which is also featured on Rhyme Pays. So, I know you didn't listen to this in '87, Amir, but how did you come to listen to Rhyme Pays?
Probably from 6 in the Morning.
Okay, good reason.
I can't pinpoint the exact story on this one. I usually have a story of when I first heard it and all that. I don't remember when, really, but it was, probably in high school. And Rhyme Pays. Actually, I know I heard Power first. The album Power I heard first, and then I got Rhyme Pays, so I went a little out of order there. But I also hadn't heard the singles prior to Power and Rhyme Pays until later. Okay. So everything with Ice-T was a little out of order for me. But Rhyme Pays, man, just and I feel like I mentioned this in a lot of videos, but the cover, man, just how iconic is the cover.
It's a great one.
It's a great one, and I think it's very important for the album too, because you get this guy who's in this nice car convertible. He's got his hot girlfriend there, Darlene, who's also especially on the Power cover, which is, in my opinion, even more iconic. It's just so great. But you get, Ice-T in the car. We get Evil-E. We have Palm Tree. Darlene with the crazy gun, gold chain, and just the jewelry and everything. It's like, what are we about to listen?
It says a lot.
And it's really what we're about to listen to, right? Rhyme Pays. And such an awesome, simple, but effective title as well.
All right, Amir, so what's your first song?
My first pick for this, I'm going to go with the last track of the album. The official album, I should say, because some nerd stuff I should actually talk about is the CD pressing that Soren's holding.
As additional songs.
It's got, I believe, remixes. 4 additional songs. Remixes, and then I think in the last track, it's just a whole extra song altogether, like the most requested record, if my memory serves me correct. So my first pick is going to be the last track on the actual album, which would be Squeeze the Trigger. And this song, I think it really has to be in everyone's top favorite Ice-T tracks ever, because it's just so powerful. The message he was trying to get across, I think he did very well, and also very strategically. I think just when it comes to artistry and trying to make a song that is of such high caliber, how can you top something of this nature and Squeeze the Trigger? So it's quite lengthy. I believe it's like around 6 minutes. It's at least 5. And I think there's quite a few iconic lines on it. But one of the lines that really stuck out to me was when he says, "Cops hate kids, kids hate cops, cops kill kids with warning shots." Especially, and this is 87, this is far before like the Rodney King riots, this is before Fuck the Police. Clearly there was some disdain towards, law enforcement at the time from Ice-T and others alike. But I think this song was one of the more eye-opening ones, and he did just so well on it. And not even talking about the lyrics, the production on this is just killer. It's just exceptional. Africa Islam is a monster, dude, on this track. He murders the beat. I just love how the verse is, and then you just hear the beat just going haywire, and then you hear a verse and haywire, and you hear DJ. The DJ just really going off too. Evil-E just really going off as well. And I think just to close the album on such a strong note, you usually don't hear it. The best song, in my opinion, the best song on the album being the last track. It's seldom seen. Like, I can't even think of something right now. Except for me, I like the grand finale on No One Can Do It Better.
There's a couple. Man.
Like, the grand finale for me is my favorite on No One Can Do It Better. But, you know, for me, this song is just, it's so fantastic. And I'd be shocked if it's not one of your top three, so...
It is one of my top three. It is my favorite song on Rhyme Pays.
There we go.
And it is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, Ice-T song ever. It's so phenomenal. Please, if you haven't heard the song in a while, or if you've never even heard it, please go back and listen to the song Squeeze the Trigger, because, again, this is 87. And unfortunately, what he's talking about is still going on today. And then at the end of the song and the outro, it's like, you know, Ice-T's banned because his lyrics contain reality. And fast forward a little bit, you know, with his rock group Body Count, they get into all this freedom of speech, get dropped, all this stuff, and Ice-T leaves Sire, Warner Brothers Records, goes to Priority, and, you know, whatever. So it's just crazy that Ice-T prophesized his own being banned, which is crazy. And as for the rest of the song, it's an amazing thing. This was the first song that I remember, and I talk about this in detail in my book, The History of Gangster Rap. He like goes through and names a whole bunch of the gangs in LA. He talks about the police brutality. He talks about, it's just an amazing look at the intersection of the streets and how American politics affects the streets and our laws, how our system is set up in America. It's just an amazing expose of all of that. And as Amir had said, the beat on this is also phenomenal, and he has breaks in with the newscaster, and it's just it's very cinematic as records go, songs go. And it's an amazing song. So I'm glad Amir and I are in sync on this one, because it's just such a phenomenal song. And it's a very fast, you know, it's just very driving and fast and very, it's just super powerful, man. And sadly, you know, this came out in 1987, and sadly a lot of what he talks about is still going on today. So that being said, that's clearly one of our picks here for the best three songs. Amir, what's another one?
Another one on this album would be Pain. He really just starts off, first second he starts off with the deuce, the revolver line. He just straight up talks about how really young people, when they get involved into the gang life, the street life, making a living out of hustling or doing whatever you do, not working the 9 to 5 as he talks about in the song, or he imagine him working at Mickey D's as he states. It shows that always in the beginning you think it's going to be fun, it's all going to be cool, you're going to have the chicks, you're going to have the money, you're going to have the lifestyle, but then a few years down the line it's going to catch up to you and you're going to be in jail or whatever. Like, even some very eye-opening lines in the song was, like, I can't hang around my mom because I scare her. Like, that's pretty wild, you know, and it's probably accurate, you know, these kids who grow up, you know, in gangs, their parents probably don't think of them, you know, the same as if they live their life the other way. So I thought that was very eye-opening. Another crazy line to me where he says, 19, I'll have a Benz 21, I'll retire. That was just so ridiculous to me.
Right.
And it's very important because, you know, Ice-T, he's obviously showing like some of the glamour that comes along this life, but he's really showing like how in the end you're gonna be, you know, locked in the system, you're gonna get caught one day. And I think it's a very important song because I think like the best artists will usually show the pros and the cons, or expectation versus reality. They'll show both sides of the story, and I think Ice-T does that very well on this track, and it's potent.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It's also one of my top 3 songs from Ryan Pay's Pain, and it's for the same reasons. And Ice-T, when I interviewed him for my book, The History of Gangster Rap, we talked about how what he did was he really showed the horrors, as he put it, that come with the lifestyle of the street lifestyle, whether that's the pimp, the player, the hustler, the drug dealer, the gang member, whoever you are in that world, you're going to suffer this pain, and which he articulates, I think, exceptionally in this song. And it really shows, that's why to me, and again I talk about this in depth in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, that's why I think I gravitated so much to gangster rap, is because it showed these stories and it had the sensationalism aspect of it with the stories themselves. But what people like Schoolie D, Ice-T, even Eazy-E, and obviously Ice Cube, but even when you get further down the line, chronologically speaking, of who came out with Compton's Most Wanted, DJ Quick, and then more recently with Game, and then even more recently with someone like Vince Staples, they're really showing you the pros and cons. Look at Scarface, look at Project Pat. These guys all throughout gangster rap history have shown you, yeah, what Ice-T talks about. Yeah, you're going to get the glamour, you're going to get the girls, you're going to have all the money, you're going to have the nice car that no one else has. But there's that price, that pain that comes with it. And this was just an amazing look at that and the reality of it, which is why this is all called reality rap and street reporting and that type of thing before the media coined it gangster rap. So, you know, with Squeeze the Trigger and Pain, it was just like, man, this dude is dialed in a way that I just thought was amazing. So those are 2 of my 3. What's number 3 for you, Amir?
And this is to piggyback off everything you just said. It's one of those stereotypes that I always really dislike hearing when it comes to regions aside from the East Coast. They'll say, or a lot of people I should say, will say the West Coast or the South, they don't have lyricists, they just have catchy beats or a dope hook. It's like, no man, if you're listening to people like Ice-T or Ice Cube or whoever, we can name a laundry list of people, listen to what this guy's saying in 87 and throughout his career. It's remarkable stuff, and it's stuff that touches the heart too, you know, and it's great imagery, it's great lyricism. So although a lot of it's clearly subjective, it's like, how can you even come to that statement, to make a statement so foolish, which we can get into in another video.
And continue to.
It's sad that people have these sort of prejudices against other regions as well, but Ice-T shows on Ryan Pays that he's meant to force to be reckoned with, as well as his production of Africa, Islam, and Evil E. So anyways, my last pick, I think you're going to be shocked that 6 in the Morning is not one of my top 3 picks.
I am surprised.
Although a fantastic, amazing, and celebrated as it should be track. My 3rd track would be Somebody's Gotta Do It, Pimpin Ain't Easy.
Okay.
And really, this whole album is pretty great.
It's in line with your life, Amir. No. It hit close to home. No.
So no, I mean, it's funny. It's there's a lot of like dope imagery and like lyricism in this track as well. Starting it off with like an interview, how Ice-T doesn't want to do interviews, but then his homie's like, well, it's a girl. He's like, oh, okay. Now he just starts bragging and boasting about his lifestyle, and his fingers hurt from counting cash. There's diamonds in his stash, and he's got it's just like super pimp player. Somebody's got to do it right. Like, there's a million of you, but I'm gonna be the one pimp kind of scenario. Right. And then he just goes in, and then you hear like a dude asking questions kind of like in between the verses, and he's like, whoa, why is that fur coat on the floor? He's like, man, that's the carpet. Like, it's just super like ignorant but pimp stuff that you can believe Ice-T when he's saying it, because you see his covers, you see his image, you hear how fly he is as well. And then even like the jab at Ronald Reagan in it is hilarious. Like, tell that fool to get off my jammy, man.
Right.
It's just, man, Ice-T just kills it on this track. And I think one thing that does it for me on this song that kind of gives it the slight edge over 6 in the Morning for me is also just the replay value of how like much shorter it is, more compact. And it's not as spread out as a song like 6 in the Morning. This is a bit more tight in terms of lyrics and how much you get in the short span. But also, I really love the production on it. It also does bump in the truck. So it's just 6 in the Morning, I'm assuming, is your next pick.
That is my pick.
All right, so you talk about that one.
This, of course, while I like and agree with everything you were saying about somebody's got to do it, I did think that I was surprised that the shorter version of 6 in the Morning is on the album, because of course the original is much longer in the epic grand scheme of things. Long rap songs from this era were happening, but just even the truncated version, man, it's just such an iconic song. And if we look at the 3 things that really jump-started gangster rap with Schoolie D, P.S.K, What Does It Mean in 85, 6 in the Morning by Ice-T in 86, and then Boys in the Hood by Eazy-E in 87. I mean, that basically sets everything in motion for more or less almost all rap that is today. So,
where do you detail that, by the way?
In my book, The History of Gangster Rap, I talk about that as well.
He does.
So, it's just, 6 in the Morning is just such an amazing song. I know it's one of Snoop's all-time favorite songs. He and I have talked about it. I've talked at length with Ice-T about it several times over the years. And it's just one of those songs that there's so much history in it, but then you listen to it and you understand why. He's telling the story, and as he does later with Pain and Squeeze the Trigger, he's even talking about the downfalls, because he's telling all this fun and stories, but then he gets put away for a 7-year bid. So you understand that, like, oh man, like, it's just funny that in the life of the character of 6 in the Morning, that like he has all this success and all this fun in these crazy times and stuff, but in one sense he just acknowledges like, oh yeah, by the way, I was incarcerated. And you're just like, listening to that song, I wouldn't have even have been that would have been more than half my life at the time, you know. It's just like, geez, oh peace, man. So it's just wild that Ice was like dropping all this type of information, all this type of knowledge, if you really were there to listen to it. And as he later put, you know, the lethal weapon was his mind. And that's the whole thing of what Ice-T did. And something else we talked a lot about in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, is he did faction. So it was fiction and fact blended together to make it into a good story. And that's something that I think he did a remarkable job of, not only on Rhyme Pays, but prior to that, and then throughout the rest of his recording career, which continues till today. So those are our 3 favorite tracks on Rhyme Pays, Ice-T's debut album, 1987. Make sure you listen to this album if you haven't. It's very powerful on many levels. So that's what Amir thinks, and that's what I think. But what do you guys think? Be sure, as always, to hit us in the comment section. Like, subscribe, share to both Unique Access and to Rappin and Snackin. And I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
The great debaters, y'all. Ice-T.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on Young TV back with NWA?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
There's always gonna be shit happening in the streets.
You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The history of gangster rap in stores now.